What's up, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I've got the subs, I've got the amp all laid out for the install on the Maverick. This is not the hybrid, this is a gas powered, so it doesn't have the extra battery in the trunk, so I did go with the dual subwoofers. If you do have a hybrid, you can only put one subwoofer in on the other side because the battery's in on the passenger side. I am a big fan of kicker. I had some CVX 15s in my Silverado and I had them in there for over 10 years. As far as the amp goes, I have never used a Skar audio product. However, I have heard really good things about them. For the price of these things compared to some of your big name brands, it was much cheaper. As far as the boxes go, these were pre-built. There is a brand out here that sells these things, but they were twice as much as I paid for these. I got this dual setup off of eBay. I'll try to leave a link in the description if anybody wants to pick them up. Should have everything that I need here to get the entire system installed, so let's get started. I'm going to get the power wire ran first, so we'll go ahead and pop the hood up front here. Lift this up, and then right over here on the driver's side you can see is where the battery is at. This cable right here running to the back is for my trailer hitch lights. Here's the inline fuse that I'll be using. Here's the cover for it. The original one that I had sitting up there was actually not big enough. I've got this little 6-inch strip that I've already cut the ends off of. Loosen these set screws up on both sides. Should just be able to stick it in there and tighten it down. Got the longer piece coming all the way up here, so I've already got it stripped. And then we can just stick it in there. Tighten it down. Both of them are in there nice and snug. We'll go ahead and put our cover back on, and then we can tighten the screws down on this. So here's a ring terminal. I just got a pack off of Amazon before. This is the last one that I actually have. So we'll slide our little cover on here, just twist it on. So we'll slide it in there. Just grab one side, push it up on there, and just pinch it down as hard as you can. Just grab the other side. We'll pinch it so that it kind of rolls over to the other one, and then we can pinch them together. We'll take this little rubber piece, slide it up on there, and this is what will connect to the battery. Power wire is all ready to go. I'm not going to connect it up just yet. I'm just going to kind of mock it up here so that I know where I want it to go. We'll just zip tie it right there for the time being. That way when I'm done, I'll just have a little bit of room. I can pull it back, and then I can attach it to one of these bolts up top. And from here we can go to the inside, and I'll show you where I'm going to pull it through the firewall. If you come down here in the footwell on the driver's side, look right up here and you can see this little rubber piece that sticks right here. Just reach up, grab an edge right here, and it'll actually pop right out of the firewall so you can see straight through. We'll take this out, put a hole in it. You can just drill a hole through and run the wire through if you wanted to, but I do have this little guide that goes through there, and it is the perfect size for my wire, my power wire that I'm using. What I'm going to do is flip it over, and I'm going to drill straight through where the hole is on the back. The diameter of this back portion right here is 1/2 inch, so that's what I'm going to drill it out with. See if I can push this in there. Should fit in just like that. Makes it look nice and tidy. And we can just push it all the way through. So this is what it'll look like coming through on the inside. So we should just be able to slide this up in there, pop it all back into place. Looks nice. There's just no room to fit your hands underneath here. So what I'm trying to do is take these clips off that are right here. So it's just these little clips holding it on. You can pull them straight off. I'm gonna pull all of them off if I can over here. Once you get those clips off, you just pull pretty hard, and this whole piece will just kind of pull up right here. Gives you just a little bit of extra space, and I should be able to reach my hand in there now. Still a pretty tight space, but I can reach all the way in here now. There we go. I got it to push through. It actually did push that little plastic ring out, but I can put it back in there once I get to the inside. So here's the power wire coming through. Go ahead and pull it on a little bit further. Like I said, the little black piece fell out, so I'm going to go ahead and put the power wire, just run it back through there, just push it all the way back up. I may just leave it like this until I get the power wire all the way through, and then I'll put it in place. You want to help me out? Here, hold this. So I'll pull all of this through, that way I can pull it through the firewall. I got Jagger over here helping me out. Keep pushing it, keep feeding it to me there. There we go. Pull all of it all the way through. Now that we got it all pulled underneath there, I'm going to go back on the inside, pull it all the way through the firewall. Got all the power wire ran through. It's coming through the grommet right there. I still need to push my little piece all the way back through. I think having that little piece makes it look a whole lot better. It just makes it look a little bit more factory. Now that the power wire is through the firewall, all I have to do now is just run it to the back. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of remove this weather stripping. Should just pull back just like that, and we should just be able to pop this off. It's just clips that holds everything in. Just going to run this thing down. I'm going to run it behind the carpet here, and then just put it right behind that plastic piece. Take your trim tool, reach it up in there, pop all of these clips out. That way we can just kind of remove this piece. And then you can look down in there, you can see where our power wire is at. So all I'm gonna do is just take it, run it behind all of this. Once you get it down through here, what I'm gonna do is just run it alongside where all this extra wiring is at. It fits in here perfectly. These little clips that are in here, you just kind of pull them forward, push them out of the way. It'll slide right in behind, and you can still clip your plastic in afterwards. And then once we get to the back here, again, you'll probably have to pull the weather stripping up. This little side piece just clips as before. Just pop it out. Coming back here to the back door, we're just gonna go ahead and keep popping these panels off. So again, we'll have to remove some of this weather stripping right here. Just pop it off of there. We'll pull all of this up, and then we can pop this bottom piece off right here. And that'll give us access to this side panel over here, so we can keep removing that. Hard to see in there, but I should be able to squeeze my red power wire all the way through. I'm just gonna feed it through from the front side here. Here's where it goes behind this pillar. Just shoved it straight through at the bottom back there. And then if we come around here to the back side, you can see where it's just poking out. So just pull it all the way through. So now I've got the power wire ran back here. As you can see, I popped this piece completely out. So if you just lift up the back seat, you can actually pop that whole piece out. Again, just all clips. I should just be able to keep popping the rest of this out. I'm gonna go ahead and fold the back seat down. And from here, I'm just gonna go ahead and try to tuck it under, and then I'll pull it through from back there. This was more of one of the difficult parts of this. This piece, this plastic side piece, does not want to come all the way out because it's blocked by the seat right here. Pop it out as far as you can, and then you can fish it through. And then what I did is just used my hand, tucked it in here as far as I could as I pulled it apart, and then got it as far back there as I could. And then once you get it back here, you actually do have some wiggle room with this piece. You can kind of pull it apart, pull it back with one hand, and then you can reach your other hand in there, feel around, and once you can feel your power wire, just pull it all the way through. Now that I've got my power wire ran back here, I shouldn't have to do anything else on this side over here. So I am gonna go ahead and start popping all of these pieces back in place. This piece actually went back in fairly easily. Just make sure there is two clips at the top up here. One is one of those little rectangle ones, and one is a circular clip. That circular clip was kind of pushing this way, so I did have to use a flathead to kind of push it back. I'll have to lift this part of the seat up, then we can go ahead and clip this piece back into place. Pop this side piece back in. Should be able to put all the weather stripping back on now on this back side. Got the back end all put back in. These clips, everything, all the weather stripping went in nice. I'm gonna move around to the front side now. We'll get all these plastic pieces put back on, get the weather stripping put back on. All the plastic trim pieces are put back on. All the weather stripping is back on. Power wire is good to go. It is ran all the way to the back. Just gotta connect it to the battery now. Not going to do that obviously right now. We'll just wait till we get everything else wired back here. We need to get the remote turn on wire ran, and then we need to get our signal wires for the right and left speaker ran. Remote turn on is probably going to be the easiest for right now. So you've got this fuse cover right here. It just pops off of here just like that. Just like everything, held in by clips. This will give you access to your fuse panel down here. From my understanding, fuse 6 is going to be the one that we're going to want to use. This red one right up here, it's a 10 amp fuse. It's what's considered a retained power accessory wire, so whenever the car actually shuts off, it will keep the power going to it until you actually open the door. That one I've heard is hard to reach. It is hard to get to with a fuse tap. So fuse 3 down here is the other one that we can possibly try to use. It's also a 10 amp fuse. The only difference is when you do shut the car off, it shuts it off with it. Not a big deal, as I don't plan on listening to these things when I'm not driving, so shouldn't be a big issue. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this 10 amp fuse in slot 6. And here is the out of fuse tap. So the original one will just go into the front slot right there, and then we'll put another 10 amp fuse in the back here. Now that I got the fuses in, I'm going to be using this black wire for the remote turn on. So we'll just kind of twist it like this. This is the end that it has on there for the connector. We'll lay this in there just like that. Clamp this one down. And then we'll just fold the other side over, just like that. That should hold that in place nicely. Now that that's all connected up, we can go ahead and connect it to the out of fuse. So it's just gonna slide into that little slot. And now we can plug this into where the fuse slot 6 was. Looks like this one is gonna be too big for fuse slot 6. It hits this black piece over here off to the side. What I'm gonna do is just go ahead and pull the fuse from fuse slot number 3 down here. I'll put this 10 amp fuse back into where fuse slot 6 was. It fits perfectly in there where fuse slot 3 was at. So that'll work, no big deal. I'll run my wire up and around. We'll come around, we'll tuck it in on this side underneath all of these plastics like I did the power wire on the other side. Before that, I'm gonna go ahead and get all of my signal wires wired up behind the head unit. I'll be running the RCA cables alongside with this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the head unit here. So everything is not actually behind the screen. It's gonna be behind right here where all of your air conditioning controls are at. Nothing special. Once again, everything is just clips. The best way that I can tell you to do this is you can actually bend this plastic in a little bit. So bend it in as far as you can. You may have to take some pressure with your trim tool to get it back behind there. But once you do, you don't really have to pry at it. Just keep bumping it and it will pop it out of place. Just like that. Once you get one side out, you usually can just, there we go, it popped it all out. But usually one side is still stuck in there and you can just kind of wiggle it out the rest of the way. You have 2 wiring harnesses behind here, so just bend this down, pull this one out. This one over here, same thing. There's just one little clip, just push it down and that'll pop out of there. So that'll get that out of your way. Then you'll have this foam piece. You'll have this big wiring harness right here. And this is actually where we're going to be tapping into. Here's where all of your stuff is being sent out of. And then all of your speaker wires are going to be plugged into this harness right here. There's a clip up top. If you push that down, just kind of grab that big bundle of wires and pull. It'll pull that whole assembly out of there. And then this is where we can actually tap into all of our signal wires at. I did get a wiring diagram offline for the Ford Maverick. It shows all of the wire colors for all of the speakers. This may be hard to see, but I am going to go ahead and tap into the rear speakers. So for the left rear positive, it's going to be gray with a violet stripe. The left rear negative, it's going to be a brown with a green stripe. And then for right rear positive, it's going to be green with violet, and right rear negative is going to be just a solid gray. I do this pretty old school. I don't have a set of inline strippers, so I'm just going to use some dikes. I'm not going to completely cut the wires. All I'm going to do is just strip them back a little bit, pinch down just a tad. What I do is just kind of scrape that sheathing off. But you can see there how you just kind of expose the wire a little bit, and then I'll take my extra wires, the one that I'm going to be adding on here, wrap them around there, and then I'll wrap some electrical tape around that. I'm going to do my red wires to my positives. We'll do the black wires to the negatives. All I'm going to do is take it, wrap it around. A lot of people are probably going to say, hey, you should definitely solder that, but I have never soldered these things in the past. Wrap it around really good. You'll have a solid connection. Make sure you wrap it in electrical tape and you won't have any issues. It's not going to be this long. I am going to cut it, but I am going to go ahead and run this one down just to see how far and how long I do need it to be. If you just run it along the side here, it'll come right down below where the glove compartment is at. You can see right down here where it's coming out at. Got the first one ran, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the other positive wire over here. Got both of my positive wires wired up. I've got them ran down here. You can see where they're just sticking out right down here, and that's where I will tie them into the line out converter. Now I will do the negatives on each side. Same thing, run them down there. Look in here, you can see I've got them all connected up now. Over here off to the side, we've got the brown wire with the green stripe. That's going to be the left rear negative. And then right behind that, you've got the gray with the violet stripe. That's going to be the left rear positive. And then when you flip it over here on the other side, you've got the green with the brown stripe. That's going to be the right rear positive. And then the gray right there, the solid gray, is going to be the right rear negative. Then coming down here at the bottom, you can see all of my strands hanging out. I do wish I would have made them just a little bit longer, but this should be just enough. I should be able to tie everything into that line out converter. This is the line out converter that I'm going to use. I have used this on a few different installs. It is a cheap one, but I've never had any issues out of it. Some of these things will come with a remote turn on. I kind of wish I'd have gone that route. I could have used that instead of having to tap in the fuse box, but I actually had this one laying around already, so I didn't have to purchase a new one, so I just went ahead and decided to use this. Do you want to make sure that you hook it up correctly so that you get the right and left how they need to be? Solid gray is going to be the right positive. The gray and black is going to be the right negative. White will be the left positive, and then the white black will be the left negative. So I've got my left positive and left negative stripped. That way I can tell the difference here. So those are going to wire into the white ones. So solid white is going to be the positive, like I said, and then the white with the black stripe is going to be negative. Same thing as before, just going to wrap them up here really tight. Should not have any issues with that. That's nice and snug on there. And then we'll just wrap it with electrical tape like the rest of it. Make sure when you use your electrical tape, don't leave it loose. Pull it nice and tight every time you're wrapping it around. We can do the left negative over here. So same thing. Now I can go ahead and strip the wires for the right side. Again, solid gray is going to go to the positive. And then the gray with the black stripe will go to the negative. And the line out converter is all wired up. What I'm going to do is just try to tuck this line out converter, just kind of sit it back up in there. And I'm going to zip tie it to that main large wiring harness that is up in there. Not a lot of space, but hopefully you can see that. So that's where I zip tied the line out converter at. So it's zip tied back to that wiring harness right back there. Keeps it out of the way, you won't see it. If I do need to adjust the gains on there, I still have access to it. Now all I have to do is connect my RCA cables, run them to the back. So the red side is going to be the right, and the white side is going to be the left. Got the RCA cables ran around, so again, they're connected up top here. Just kind of routed everything up top and around this piece. That way when it comes over, it drops down right there. And it actually meets in perfectly where the remote turn on wire is at. So just gonna keep running everything into the top, just gonna try to tuck everything back over here. Now that these wires are over here, I'm gonna go ahead and start removing my little plastic trim pieces. I'll start with this top piece up here. You have to remove some of this weather stripping. Just pull this piece up right here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this bottom piece. So again, just pull this weather stripping back. We can go ahead and just start popping all of these pieces out of place. Didn't have to take it off completely, just to right there. And then now I can run my wires back over through here and down along the side. You can see where I've got it tucked, so I know it's all black, but here is the RCA cables. There's my remote turn on. Everything is run right on top of that fuse box. And what I did is I just ran everything behind this harness, ran everything up there behind that harness. It comes around and it actually drops over perfectly right into here. And then I can just kind of tuck everything in once I pull all of this back. So you see it dropping down there, pulled this back, got everything running right alongside. It comes down right here. And then just like the power wire, ran everything just like this, run it behind that clip right there. It is a tight fit, just pull this back some and it'll fit down in there. So to keep pulling this weather stripping up until you get to the top up here, so that you can actually pull this center piece out. Once the weather stripping's out, you can just kind of start pushing. Everything will pop out just like that. Once you got this side popped out, we can go to the back here. Go ahead and start pulling this weather stripping out. Go ahead and lift our seat up. You should just be able to go ahead and take this piece right here all the way out. And right here, we can go ahead and pop that out. Kind of hard to see as usual because there's not a lot of light, but just start tucking your RCAs in there, push them as far as you can back over there, and we should be able to pick them up from the back side over here. If we move this out of the way, you can see it sticking out right there. Do the same thing with the remote turn on. Start feeding it through. Should just be able to reach in there and grab it somewhere. There it is right there. Pull it all the way through. Same thing like before. Just keep tucking everything off to the side right here. Pull the rest of this weather stripping up all the way till we get to the top right here. Push your seat back down. And now we can raise this up. Pop this back piece out as far as you can get it to go there, just like the other side. This is definitely the hardest part as far as running this. Like I said on the other side too, you can't pop this piece all the way out. So just kind of like the middle pillar, you feed it in as far as you can go. And then what I do is with one hand, use this side, and you can pry this back quite a bit. And when you look down in there, you can finally see where it's starting to bunch up at. So you'll use one hand to pull it back, use the other hand to just try to reach in there the best that you can. And then you can pull it out to the edge and the side over here. So still got to do the remote turn on. I need to run that one back there. Got the remote turn on back here. Like I said, it's actually not that bad. You just have to feed as much wire as you can through. And then when you pull this back, you'll see it starting to bunch up back there. Now that everything is ran to the back, I'm going to go ahead and tuck these, make sure that they're all in place. You're done. Should look just like that. Everything's tucked in nice and neatly. Everything's ran to the back. All of the wires are ran. In my opinion, the hardest part is done. Running these wires along all these different plastic trim pieces is the hardest part to me. Now that I've got all of my other wires ran, I got my power wire, I've got the remote turn on, and then I've got my RCAs, I'm going to go ahead and attach my ground. For this truck, there is a perfect ground location back here, so it sits right above where the factory amp would be if you had the upgraded version. I'm just going to pull this bolt out. I've already got my lead attached to the ground wire here. It'll just fit right on there, and then we can attach the other end to the amp. 8mm bolt. We'll loosen this all the way up, take it all the way out, take the negative in, just drop the bolt through, Just thread it back on. I know that the amp is going to be positioned somewhere right here, so this ground wire is going to basically have to come up and over. So when I tighten this thing down, I just want to make sure that it's oriented in that direction. There we go. Ground wire is all in there. Ground wire is always the easiest to attach. There's lots of ways we can mount this amp up, or at least attempt to mount this amp up. Since this is the factory location, I'd like to be able to use this. I've seen a lot of guys actually break these things off and then somehow they mount it to the back of the truck here. Sounds like a lot of extra work in my opinion. So I'm going to do this the cheapest and easiest way possible. This obviously is going to be hidden. It's going to be behind the seat, so nobody's going to see it. So what I'm going to do is just bend these inner tabs in right here so they stick out, and that's what actually keeps this thing from sitting flush against this piece. So if I bend these back, I can actually zip tie through the existing holes on the amp, and it'll zip tie straight through these holes on this bracket. These two sides, these two holes right here line up perfectly. These two over here, they're going to be offset a little bit over here. Nothing special as far as pulling these tabs. This one I actually don't have to mess with. It doesn't interfere with it, but this one on this side, I am just going to grab it just like this. Bend it back, and that'll keep that out of the way so that this thing sits nice and flush on there. With that tab bent back, you can see here, it just sits on here just like this. And I can put those zip ties through the holes here on the left-hand side. The right-hand side, I'll have to add a couple of zip ties together. It'll be a little stretched out, but it'll definitely hold it in place. This will keep me from having to make a bracket for this thing, which will take a bunch of extra time. And again, this thing's hidden. Nobody's ever going to see it, and those zip ties will hold it just fine. Go ahead and take my first zip tie. We'll run it through the amp right there. Run it through the first hole. Go ahead and lock it into place there. Take my second zip tie here, run it through. We'll pull it around, lock it in place on the bottom one there. The other side over here, since I'm going to have to connect two zip ties, I already know that I am. Go ahead and run one zip tie through the other. We can run it through the amp right here, and then we'll run this one through the hole on the bracket back here. And go ahead and lock that one in place. Now we'll do the top one. Again, two zip ties, run it through this top hole on the amp, then we'll run it through the bracket, and then we can go ahead and lock it into place. Lift this up. I'm going to go ahead and start trying to tighten these down now. I'm going to do this top one first, do the bottom one down here second, tighten this top one down as tight as we can get it. Do the same thing with bottom one. Amp is all mounted up. I'm gonna go ahead and take my RCA cables. We'll plug these in over here. I know that the red is for the right side and this white or silver is for the left side. So we'll just slide these in. I'm gonna get the remote turn on wired up. So what I did is instead of having it come down at the bottom, I actually have it coming out at the top. That way it can run along right here with the ground wire. Everything plugs in over here on this side. It's about halfway through. We'll throw one of these little zip ties in here, tighten it down, cut off the excess. Ground is going to be this second one, so use our little Allen wrench here, back this set screw out, plug it right in there just like that, and then we can tighten it back down. Pull this set screw out right here, shove that one in there, and then tighten it back down. Ran out of my black zip ties, but I've got some clear white ones. These will work just fine. I'm actually going to do it off to this one over here to the side. It'll pull those wires a little bit tighter. That way it stays nice and tight at the top. Now we can go ahead and attach our power wire. Same thing, what I'll probably do is zip tie it to the bottom one down here. Tighten that down, cut off the excess. And we'll go ahead and cut the power wire to length so that it fits in there nice and smooth as well. Cut it all the way, trim back the insulation, loosen up the set screw, slide that in there, tighten it down. We've got our power, ground, and remote wired up, got the RCAs plugged in. One wire that I did forget about was the bass control knob. It's not necessary, you don't have to have one, but it's nice to be able to adjust the bass with different songs that you like. Sometimes certain songs put out too much bass or not enough, and so you want to adjust it up or down. I am going to go ahead and install this. It should be pretty easy to run. For this style of amp, this side just plugs in right here on the side. There's no need for me to really show you how I'm going to run this because it's going to be exactly the way that I did the RCAs and the remote turn on. Kind of sucks because I do have to pop all of these pieces back out. So off camera, I'm going to do that since I already showed you how to remove these, and I'm going to run the wire for the bass control control knob all along the side where the RCAs and the remote turn on are. And then once I get to the front, I'll show you how I'm going to mount that thing up. Got the wire for the base control knob ran. Just so you know, I did not start from the back. I did it just like I did all the other wires. I started from the front. That way any excess I could just bundle up back here. Same thing, it goes through underneath right there. It comes back all the way around, tucked in. It just follows the line all the way with the RCA cables and the remote turn on. Comes all the way through here, lines this, goes all the way up, over and down. Follows everything all the way back just like the other ones. And then I've actually got it pulled out up here where I did all of my wires that connect to the line out converter. You may not choose to mount the base knob where I'm going to, but because I'm going to mount it right up here, I was able to basically just do this wire exactly like I did all of the others. Go straight down, follow it around all the way to the back. Not going to mount the control knob just yet. I want to get everything else connected in the back, get the speakers all put in there, just make sure everything works. So I'm going to get all these plastic trim pieces put back in, get it all clipped back in there, and then we'll work on getting the subs wired up. When wiring these subs up, this may be something everybody already knows, but some subwoofers have single voice coils. This one has dual voice coils. So you've got a positive and negative over here on this side, and then you've got a positive and negative over here on this side. When you purchase these things, a lot of times they'll give you options on 2 ohm voice coils or 4 ohm voice coils. There may be other different ones, but those are the 2 most common. You kind of have to know what you're wiring it to, what amp you're wiring it to know what to order. Because the amp that I have does push out 1200 watts at 1 ohm, I'm going to be wiring both subwoofers together at 1 ohm. For the subwoofers that I purchased, these are dual 4 ohm voice coils. So when I wire each voice coil into each other, I'm going to be wiring it in parallel so that it will take it down to 2 ohms. And then I'll be wiring it from there in parallel to the other subwoofer, which will take it down to 1 ohm. If you wired it in series, it would take it from 4 ohms to 8 ohms. I'm going to show you here on my multimeter. So if we turn it down to our ohm setting, I'm going to put my red lead into the positive. We'll put the black lead into the negative. And then hopefully you can see there 3.9, 4 ohms. But to take these down to 2 ohms, what I'm going to do is put this one into the negative on this side. I'll wrap this around, come to the other side over here, and I'm going to put this one into the negative over here on this side. And same thing with the positive side. I'll be putting this one in on the positive, wrap it around, and then this side is going to go into the positive over here on this side. So if I stick my leads in there now with the wires, you can see that it takes it down to 2 ohms, close to 2 ohms anyway. On the inside here, I've got my 2 lead wires. This is what's going to be going to the terminal down here, and then over here is where the wires from the amplifier will connect. I'm going to go ahead and take my white wire. This is going to be my positive. These are terminals that I already had set up. I actually had these wires in a previous install. Positive is on this side right here. Negative is going to be on this side, just like that. And from there, these will actually connect in. You can connect it to either side, doesn't matter. But this is going to go into the negative side, and then my white wire here will go into the positive, and they'll have to go in there together with these wires. Just like that, it is a tight fit. I didn't make these wires, these leads quite long enough. Like I said, this was from a previous install, so it was a different box that it was in. Again, if you look over here to the side, we've got our positive going to the positive, connected in with the positive terminal wire, and then the negative over there on the other side is wrapping around, going into the negative side over here with this one. You can see here when I connect my leads up to the terminal, come over to the multimeter, and we are at 2.1 ohms. Got one woofer wired up, still got to do the other one. Nothing's different, so I'll do this one off camera, and then we'll get them inside of the truck, and we can get them wired to the amp. Both subs are wired up, so both are at 2 ohms right here at the terminals. We wire these together, so positive to positive, negative to negative. Use our multimeter, put the positive in on this side, negative in on this side. You can see there it drops it down to 1.3 ohms. Subs are all wired up. I just finished putting all the screws in on every side, so they're all anchored down. The box does not fit down in here with these pieces. I think that these plastic pieces are supposed to come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these out right here off to the side. I'm gonna pop this piece. This whole thing I think is supposed to come up out of here. Again, everything is just clips holding this in. You do kind of have to wiggle it out, but it will come completely out of there. And that fits in there nicely now. Should be able to still put this side piece back on right here. Subwoofer is in on the passenger side, so I'm going to go ahead and pop the clips out, pop this side panel out on this side. Again, this piece right here should just be mostly clips holding it in. Just bend and flex it different ways, and eventually it'll come all the way up out of there. Now we can go ahead and fit this one in. Both subs, both boxes are in. We can go ahead and connect it to the amp. Take our speaker wires, just kind of run them to the back here. Fold this seat back down. Go ahead and fold the back seat down. Should be able to pull our wires through. There they are, sticking right through there. Should have just enough length, and then we can tie them in right here on the amp. Go ahead and loosen up all of our set screws. Take our positive from passenger side. Go ahead and tighten it down. Take our negative from the passenger side. Take the positive from the driver's side. Tighten this set screw down. And then take our negative, shove it in there, and then tighten this one down. All of the wiring back here should be completely done. Now that the amp and subs are fully wired up, last thing that I need to do is connect the battery wire. So we'll go ahead and snip our zip tie that we put on there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the nut off on the first one up here. We'll just take it completely off. We'll set our power wire on there just like that. Go ahead and tighten it down all the way. The only other thing that needs to be connected up now is the bass control knob. I am going to go ahead and plug it into the back here just so everything works, just to make sure everything works. And then once I make sure everything's actually working, I will probably just drill a hole in the back here. I can run that wire in the back, pull it straight through, connect it up, and then I can use some double-sided tape just to mount the knob. First test, here we go. Are you ready? No? I'm rooting no fold, turn nice into profit, turn dreams into gold. You flex with a clip smoke. Your dreams get broke.
Nothing will poppin', bro. Nothing will poppin'.
It was popping pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, it would poppin'.
You can't really tell on camera, but this thing really is hitting pretty hard. Pretty surprised, honestly, with these sealed boxes, but that amp is actually really pushing these things. When that bass knob goes up, I can't even turn the bass knob up all the way. Honestly, I'm afraid if something's gonna blow. Not to mention these are brand new subs, so I do want to do a little bit of a break-in period with them. What do you think?
It was popping.
It was popping?
Yeah, it like boop, boop. It like boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, you can really see it back there.
I heard it.
Yeah. Now that I know everything is working great, like I said, this thing sounds amazing. Very, very happy with everything. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing up, not permanently, but I am probably just going to use some double-sided tape on this side. I am going to drill a hole in the back here. When I unplug this, I'm just going to run it right back there, pull it through, because it does plug into the back. And that way I'll have my bass control knob sitting right up here up front. Plug is through there, just pull it on through. For the bass control knob, I'm going to put some double-sided tape on there. Here's the tape I'm going to use. It's this 3M VHB. It's the very high bond tape. I'm going to wipe it off with just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol first. Take the tape, peel it back some, just lay it on here, cut off the excess. Now I can get the bass knob mounted up on the inside. So just a little bit more of the isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to wipe underneath this part where it's going to stick it. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the back here. I can remove the backing on the double-sided tape. Push it back as far as it'll go. That should not interfere with that at all. That VHB stuff is really, really good stuff. You can see it holds it on there already really, really well. All I got to do now is just put all these pieces back on. Go ahead and plug these wiring harnesses back in. So that one right there, and this one over here on this side. Everything will clip right back into place there. That turned out really, really nice there. It even looks almost like it's dead center with this piece right here. Very, very happy with the amplifier. This thing works perfect. Subwoofers sound amazing. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, please hit that like button. If you want to catch anything else going on with the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys next time.